He offered no details, but General Richard Myers, chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, said today U.S. forces in and near Pakistan have a plan to redeploy if India and Pakistan go to war over Kashmir. Tonight, Pakistan says its fighter jets shot down an unmanned Indian spy plane. Even so, CBS's Richard Roth reports from the subcontinent that American peace envoy Richard Armitage was guardedly, cautiously optimistic today that war can be averted.
Carrying a fresh assurance from Pakistan's president to choke off raids from his side of the border, Armitage brought America's diplomatic muscle to New Delhi, seeking a gesture from the Indian side. He was cautiously upbeat.
It is certainly the hope and the desire of the international community and the government of the United States that tensions do lessen.
With Defense Secretary Rumsfeld due here next week, the feeling is there's still time to talk, bolstered by a senior U.S. defense official's news tonight that Pakistan had moved 2,500 troops back from the confrontation line. But the menace on the border remains stark, with almost 1 million soldiers from the two countries in a grim face-off. The Valley of Kashmir used to be called Paradise, not now. More than just paradise lost, Kashmir is the poison between India and Pakistan. If tension between the nuclear rivals turns to war, the most likely trigger point is right here. In the part of Kashmir it controls, India says the soldiers are for safety. This is where India claims Pakistan's been infiltrating terrorists for more than a decade, with no sign that's stopped.
These people are continuing with the training and funding, and equipment is obviously from that side.
From Pakistan.
From Pakistan.
But some Kashmiris claim the trouble stems from repressive Indian rule. A woman from Northern Ireland who lives here was telling us this is a danger zone 20 times worse than Belfast ever was, when she and her husband decided even talk is too risky.
There'll be a problem. I'm really sorry.
The conflict between India and Pakistan so far hasn't touched the awesome beauty of this region, but it's introduced an abundance of fear. Richard Roth, CBS News, Kashmir.
President Bush and visiting Egyptian President Mubarak are at Camp David tonight. They're discussing how to possibly defuse the Middle East crisis. And in the West Bank, Israeli forces are enforcing a curfew in the town of Jenin. That town was home to several suicide bombers, including the most recent, who killed 17 Israelis earlier this week. You're watching the CBS Evening News, and up next, a hard news eye on America. Toxic plankton spreading death and misery to marine life in coastal waters, and it could spread to humans.
The CBS Evening News and tonight's Eye on America segment are sponsored by Tylenol. Take comfort in our strength.
Add to America's healthcare crisis a shortage of nurses, and you've got a recipe for disaster. That's one 60-minute story you can't afford to miss, Sunday.
In California, welders accidentally touched off one of the worst of the western wildfires. Efforts to contain the fire in northern Los Angeles County were hampered by thick smoke, rough terrain, and brush ready to burn after months of drought. The fire has consumed some 23,000 acres, destroying at least 7 homes and forcing out 2,000 residents. It isn't just wildfires plaguing the West. There's also something in the water that is killing marine life and potentially could harm humans. It's a story about science, nature, and the environment, and Jerry Bowen has a report on it in tonight's Eye on America.
They've been washing ashore on California's coast all spring long. Dolphins and sea lions suddenly helpless in their natural environment. Poisoned by a toxic plankton, triggering an unprecedented rescue effort.
Let's get the cage in front of him. He's pretty out of it.
4 sea lions were stranded on Dan Plummer's beach.
When 2, 3, 4 of them are washing up, you start to wonder what's happening in the waters out here.
It's a naturally occurring algae bloom in coastal waters that produces the toxin domoic acid. But there's more of it in more places than ever before. More sea lions at the San Pedro Marine Mammal Center on IV drips to help them get through the seizures.
And here in San Diego, they're seeing 4 times the number of stricken sea lions they do during a normal year. So many here at SeaWorld, the medical center operating room has been converted into a nursery.
2 pups, barely 1 week old, successfully born to mothers too dazed and weak to care for them or themselves.
These guys hardly even recognize that we're here.
Veterinarian Judy St. Ledger is running a sea lion triage, 80 animals in various stages of poisoning by the toxin that attacks the brain.
It's as though they're in a coma.
It is. It is. And this is not uncommon.
One of the many species in here is our toxin producer.
Looking like a strand of hair and toxic to humans, too. That's why coastal waters are being tested and commercial catches of crabs to sardines being inspected. Officials say they're safe, but warnings are out on sport-caught fish and shellfish.
This is a very nasty toxin. It can affect people very severely.
In 1987, 3 people died and 104 others fell ill on Prince Edward Island, Canada, after eating tainted blue mussels. Meanwhile, sea lions are being given MRIs to see the extent of the brain damage to determine who will survive.
What we're looking at here is the brain of an affected sea lion. And what we see here is that instead of being balanced, the right side is much larger than the left.
And the head count continues. None of the 80 recovered dolphins has survived, but most of the treated sea lions are making it, leaping back to the water world that's been so deadly this spring. In San Diego, I'm Jerry Bowen for Eye on America.
Sharpshooter Annie Oakley, movie star Dale Evans, and U.S. Supreme Court Justice Sandra Day O'Connor were among those honored today at ceremonies opening the National Cowgirl Museum and Hall of Fame in Fort Worth, Texas, having been moved from the Panhandle. O'Connor, who grew up riding horses and punching cattle on her family's Arizona ranch, was a special guest. CBS Next, we've got a horse right here. His name is Our Emblem, and thanks to a certain Triple Crown contender, his owners are suddenly rich. Even for those who don't normally follow the horses, tomorrow's 134th running of the Belmont Stakes could be a thriller. War Emblem has a chance to become the first Triple Crown winner since 1978. And as CBS's Lee Cowan reports, War Emblem's star is bright enough to let another member of his well-bred family bask, belatedly, in the glow of success.
He's the kind of horse every breeder dreams about, but this one had become more of a nightmare. Our Emblem was supposed to win millions on the track. He didn't. Put out to stud, he was supposed to produce foals that were lightning fast. They weren't.
It was a big financial risk for us. It really was.
But Audrey and Alan Murray saw something that no one else did and scraped together more than $100,000 to give an old horse one more chance.
Our original thinking was that it wouldn't be any problem. People would just jump on him because he's so well bred. It didn't happen.
What did happen was this.
War Emblem has won the Derby in front-running fashion.
Our Emblem's 3-year-old son came out of nowhere to win the Kentucky Derby. 2 weeks later,
here comes War Emblem! War Emblem to win! He wins the Preakness!
His colt did it again.
I thought, wow. I mean, we were overwhelmed.
I kept shaking. I think for 2 hours, I just kept shaking, and I couldn't stop.
Suddenly, their 11-year-old stallion was the nation's #1 sire, bathed in the attention he lost long ago and finally getting the royal treatment. The Murrays had hit the jackpot. Last week, they sold their dream for over $10 million, almost reluctantly.
Is it tough getting rid of him?
Yes, it is.
Even at that price?
Even at that price.
There is a prayer for racehorses that reads in part, "When my legs grow too weary for the track, remember my grace and turn me out to a green pasture." Well, the Murrays remembered our Emblem, and now their pastures as well as his may turn out to be some of the greenest in history. Lee Cowan, CBS News, Darlington, Maryland.
And that's part of our world. Erin Moriarty has a word about tonight's 48 Hours.
The remarkable story of an American couple who survived when a Greek ferry boat sank.
We looked back and the whole ferry was gone.
But what if it wasn't an accident?
I said, man, they killed these people.
Against all odds. Later on 48 Hours.
48 Hours, 10 o'clock, 9 Central. Dan Rather reporting for the CBS Evening News. I'll see you again soon.
For news 24 hours a day, go to cbsnews.com. AOL keyword CBS News.
This is CBS.